I'll bet you've heard about people who have built homes without a mortgage and who are living a debt-free lifestyle. Sounds appealing, doesn't it? But with the current way we design, build, and buy homes, it probably seems like an impossible task. And using the current accepted method of acquiring a house, it is impossible, except for the very rich. Most have come to accept a life of debt. We start out young with a mountain of school loans, if we're lucky enough to go to college or university. Then we buy a car based on what monthly payment we can afford. And before we've even made a dent in reducing that debt, we're off to purchase a home that will bury us with a mortgage, possibly even borrowing the down payment. And then what happens? Even if you are squeezing by with all your school loans, car loans, and your mortgage and utility bills with your current income, along comes a global pandemic, and millions of people lose their source of income. Sound hopeless? Well, it's pretty discouraging for sure. I know because I've been in a similar situation during the financial mortgage crisis in 2008. In 2008, I lost all the projects in my engineering design practice because all of my clients lost their construction loans due to the mortgage crisis. I had recently become a solo parent and I was facing a mortgage and utility bills every month when my income disappeared overnight and I didn't have a partner to help me shoulder the burden. I thought 2008 was scary. But I can't imagine the fear that those of you with mortgages must be experiencing as this pandemic has brought so many people to their financial knees. The mortgage crisis got my attention, and I was determined to keep my kids safe should anything like that happen again. I was determined to build a self-sustaining life and home, but never in my wildest dreams did I consider what we're facing today. And I wake up every morning in gratitude that I did what I did, that I live in a home that I built without a mortgage, and that I designed it so that it heats and cools for free, catches our water on the roof, and recycles our waste in an environmentally conscious way, for free. Today, I'm here to tell you that it is entirely possible to build a home without a mortgage. And it's possible to build a home that will eliminate or drastically reduce your utility bills. It is possible to live with the security that you'll never have to face wondering how you'll scrape enough together to pay your rent, mortgage, and utility bills. Every person building this type of home will have their own obstacles and struggles, and we all come to the table with different skills and abilities. So everyone's path will be different. But if you put your mind to it, I know you can make it happen. It just takes some thinking outside the box. For just a moment, consider what your life could look like if you didn't have a mortgage or utility bills to pay this month. I'm not saying it's easy or that I have some magic wand that will get you there, but I can tell you that it is possible if you have the motivation and the drive to do it. I'm pretty ordinary, and I've built a home without a mortgage, not only once, but twice. And I think you'll find that a quick search on YouTube will show you that more and more folks are understanding the importance of simplifying their material and financial lives. In this video, I'm going to share with you 7 strategies I used and now teach others to use to create mortgage-free and utility-free homes and lifestyles. Hey, Kristina here with more tips and advice to guide you through creating an off-grid or sustainable home you'll love without the typical frustration, overwhelm, and costly mistakes. If this is your first time here, then make sure to hit that big subscribe button and click the bell to make sure you get notified when I launch a new video. Well, this pandemic is certainly shedding some light and even a magnifying glass on so many aspects of our life. We are now really questioning how we treat one another, how we educate our children, and how we do business. Maybe this is the perfect opportunity for us to re-examine how we design and how we build and how we finance and live in our homes and how sustainably we're living on the planet. I'm not saying that it's going to be easy to build without a mortgage because the system is kind of rigged against us. If you're facing student loans and car loans and other types of debt, it's pretty hard to save up and build a house out of pocket. But why is it important to build without a mortgage? For me, the number one reason was security. When I faced the 2008 mortgage crisis, I knew I never wanted to face that again. I never wanted to be in a situation where my income could disappear overnight and I had to face paying a mortgage. The other reason is when you build without a mortgage, you have a lot more freedom. Mortgage companies have a stake in your home if you're going to get a loan from them because they own the majority of your home. So if you default on that loan for loss of job or any reason, they want to take that home and resell it. So they want it to be very conventional. The other big reason to build without a mortgage is just simply having a debt-free lifestyle and the kind of freedom that that brings. What could you do if you didn't have rent or a mortgage and utilities to pay every month? How little money could you live on if you didn't have to pay for mortgage, rent, and the other debt that you have? Would you have the freedom to do something different with your life? So here are 7 strategies that I've used and I've taught others to use to create environmentally sustainable and financially sustainable homes and lifestyles. The first strategy is really the easiest and the most straightforward, and that is sell high and build small. So if you already own a home and you have equity in that home, you can pull that equity out of that house by selling it and take that money and put it into building a smaller home. And that's what I did. I had already owned a home, so I sold it. I pulled out the equity that I had built up into that home and built a smaller home. So the second strategy is to work on it in stages. Now, I used this strategy with my husband when we decided to build a small ski cabin. We already had a mortgage on a house in the city, but we wanted a ski cabin. So we saved up our money, and the first year we bought land. And in the second year we saved up our money some more, and then we put in the septic system. Then we saved up our money some more, and we built a foundation. And over the course of several years, we built out a small ski cabin that was 400 square feet. Now there was a lot of security in having that little house because if something happened with our jobs or with what is going on now, we had a small house that was paid for. The third strategy is considering lifestyle changes. And that could mean looking at where you're living. Cities are expensive to live in and they're expensive to build in. So, do you have the freedom to move your job more remotely? This pandemic has certainly shed a light on how much business we can do remotely through Zoom, through online, and other creative solutions that we've had to come up with. Now can we use those to allow us to move to more remote locations where it's more affordable to build? The other consideration you might have is whether you are tied to a corporate job or do you have some entrepreneurial dreams? Do you have a dream of owning a business where you can work from home? This is the perfect opportunity for you to implement that because that will allow you to build a home in an area that is less expensive. The fourth strategy is to build small. And I encourage anybody who's building a home to really think about building small. It seems pretty obvious, but the smaller the home you build, the less expensive it's going to be. And our expectations have become so grand in what we think we need as a house that it's hard to think down that small. But a well-designed small home can be more comfortable. It can be easier to maintain. It can be easier to clean, and it's cheaper to build. So if you want to know more about how you can analyze how much space you really need to build in your home, I offer a calculator that I include in Module 1 of my course, Pipe Dream to Plan. And I'll put a link in the description down below if you want to check that out. Most people that use this calculator find out that they live in a much smaller part of their home than they ever dreamed, and they realize that they can build a much smaller home than they ever imagined. Strategy 5 is building with conscious building materials. When I refer to conscious building materials, I'm talking about materials that are generally earth-friendly. They have low embodied energy, which means it didn't take a lot of manufacturing energy to create them. And the great thing about most of these products is that you can add your labor to help build with them. They do not require skilled labor such as stick-built homes that we're so familiar with. So somebody like me or somebody like you can learn how to build with these materials and add your labor to the mix. So some of those materials are compressed earth block, rammed earth tire, and Strawbale. There's also a bunch of new materials that are becoming more and more accepted and available if you just search them. And I'll include some links to those in the description down below. The sixth strategy is to look for land that conventional home builders wouldn't find attractive. This means that it will likely be less costly to purchase land like this. If people can't build the typical American home on this piece of property because it's too expensive to get in power, it's too expensive to do a sewer, then this may be an opportunity for you to buy an inexpensive piece of property. For instance, the property that I built Twisted Oak on would not have been appealing to somebody who wanted to build a conventional home. It would have been very expensive to bring in electric power. It would have been very expensive to create a septic system. It would have been almost impossible to get clean water. So because I was willing to be off the grid, I was willing to use gray water and composting toilets, I didn't need a septic system. And because I was willing to catch water on my roof, it didn't matter that the wells here are difficult to drill and that they don't produce drinkable water. Strategy 7 is to reduce your expenses so you can save for this house. And this goes out to all of those people who tell me, I don't have any money, there's no way ever I can build a home. The best course of action for you is to start thinking to the future and to start changing how you deal with your money now. And probably your biggest expenses are your rent or your mortgage. So can you find a way in order to reduce those expenses? If you'll just take a quick walk through YouTube, you'll find a lot of creative people who are finding ways to live less expensive. They're building out beautiful vans and living in them full time. They're building tiny houses and finding ways to reduce their expenses that way. This is an opportunity to really be creative and think about ways that you can downsize your spending so that you can save and then maybe purchase land to build your off-grid sustainable home. Designing a home consciously and building it without a mortgage will give you the freedom to create a debt-free life. And bypassing a mortgage company will make it much more likely for you to build off the grid and to incorporate water harvesting, gray water gardens, and composting toilets. And a debt-free home can give you a lifestyle that most only dream about. Imagine what your life could look like. Could you pursue more meaningful work? Would you spend more time with your kids and family? Would you travel or start a new business? And if you were debt-free and less stressed, how will that affect you and your loved ones? How would building a house this way impact the planet? Building a smaller home from conscious building materials is better for you, your family, and our Earth. If your sustainable home doesn't need fossil fuels to heat and cool it, how will that impact your health and the health of the environment? Now, I could go on, but it comes down to this. How we choose to build our homes not only affects us and our wallets, but it affects our family, our communities, and our planet. As a nation and a world, it's time we seriously rethink how we build and pay for our homes. Please leave me a comment and share this video with anyone you know who may be interested in building an off-grid or sustainable home. It's easy to share. Just click the share button just below the video. You can copy the link or share it directly to your favorite social media platform, such as Facebook, Pinterest, or Twitter. Make sure to download my free guide to designing your sustainable home. You'll find links in the description down below this video. And check out my offer for the first module of my online course, Pipe Dream to Plan, where you can begin working on these strategies immediately. I post a video every Saturday morning, so stay tuned for more videos on designing, planning, and building your mortgage-free, off-grid, or sustainable home.